Hello friends, this is Yrvind. I'm working on the kitchen thing with the gimbal thing, and now I'm gonna make the door. So the old trick is to first you cut the slot here, and then you put on the hinges there, and when the hinges are there you cut the other way around, and then it's in place. You have it aligned. So as old saying, you can do it for many things, and a good thing is that. So this is now done. Really fits. In fact, it's hard to make it go wrong. So this is a good thing, and it's a good start. So here is the beginning of the mock-up, and here is the gimbal, and so the speed or reaction time of the pendulum is the square root of the length. So I think 1 meter gives 1 second. But the rolling of a boat takes much longer than 1 second. And this here, I don't know how long it is, but well, at least 7-8 centimeters. So it will always react. It will always have time to react, because it's with the square of the length, you know. So, and like I said, 1 meter, 1 second. So this is the beginning. Now we're going to do this better. This is just the mock-up. And then it's going to be in here somewhere. And I'm going to do it in such a way that if something happens suddenly, like this, now it's not long enough. So the support is going to be high enough that it can turn all the way around. In that way, if I'm eating something and something happened on the outside, it can be a dolphin, or it can be a ship bearing down on me, you know, or I don't know, many things. A mermaid coming up, you know. Then I just can close the hatch, and I don't have to lose my meal. Good one. So this is the start of the swinging table, and if I don't eat in this one, well, I have a spare one if I should get a visitor. Then I can also put my sardines in here. Also they can be, I don't know if I'm gonna put more weight on it, you know, but if I wanted I could put some lead in there, but I don't think that's necessary because the whole thing is below the pivot. Well, hello friends, now Petter is helping me here again. So this is the, and it goes in, and like this. Now it stays inside there, and now it goes out when I'm going to eat. And it's going to sit in here. It comes around. Oh, it's too awkward to shoot. But anyways, it's going to be here. Lite längre ut då. something like this. And I'm going to sit in it here. And I'm going to test it better later. So, because Peter is in a hurry. Oh, hello, now Peter is here again. And now this is the eating thing is here. And it swings rather nicely. And I can put it higher up. And I can put it here. And I put it here. And it goes in. Now the steering ropes is in the way. But they're going to be, I'm going to put a little fur lid in there. And then I'm going to this maybe a little bit smaller. I think I can make that. Maybe I can make this out a little bit. So I'm kind of happy with this. So nice little place to sit here. Hello friends, this is Yrvind and the story continues. So, I was born on a small island on the Swedish west coast. There was no tide, and this was during the war, 1930s, 40s, and we didn't have TV. Radio was only like 3 times a day, morning, noon, and in the evening was a bit. But otherwise there was no radio and we didn't really have any toys. But there was many islands there, and to get food, we rowed across the water from Rennes to Swish, and there were some other islands there around. I'll show you on the map. And was small prams, you know, like 14 feet or 13 foot. And this was before the optimist thingy. They just didn't come to Sweden before in 1960. So, and children, we didn't really have anything to play around with. But water, messing about in boats and things like this. This was fun. So this is like imprinted in me. This is how I got used to, really like. So this sculling, because the children, we thought it was, you know, kind of more nice to do the sculling than the rowing, and it was a bit more difficult too. And then also up in Lysekil, where I had this house with Olga, I had a little boat, and when it was nice flat water, I was out there sculling and enjoying myself, doing a bit philosophy. But then I heard about this Japanese system, Chinese system, the YOLO. And also on the amphibia breeze, I put a string down there, and I had a thing that the oar didn't slide down, and I did this. But I thought, I must learn a bit more about this sculling, the Eastern way. So, I think it was 97, and I still had a bit of money because of still some talks I could give and get some income, and a book was out and I got some money from that. So I got the airplane ticket to Japan. I had phoned the Japanese embassy and asked them where I could find this YOLO. But the lady who answered, she kind of got insulted. She said, Japan. Japan is a modern country. We don't have these old things there, you know. But I thought there must be something like that. So anyway, I was used to, in the 1950s and 60s, I did a lot of hitchhiking. I had a sleeping bag and a bivouac, and I thought, okay, I can do the same in Japan. So I came to the airport in Tokyo. It's a big place. And then I thought, you know, better find my bearings before doing any moving here, you know, because I know hitchhiking is a difficult thing. So I got a map, and then I asked some people there, what's hitchhiking in Japanese? That was easy. It was hitchhiking, something like that. It was almost the same thing. I guess they learned it from the Americans. So I studied the map, and then I had decided that up in northeast Japan, I learned that was the biggest chance of finding this. So I started hitchhiking there, and I got a lift with one man who'd been to California, who speak very good English, and he gave me some good advice. And then I was used to the European time, you know, so I could hitchhike during the night before I got used to it. And I slept on the beach, you know, and I got a bit further north, and I passed Sendai, and I got up in the north, and I passed some other places. And well, the Japanese people were very friendly to me. And then, as the evening was coming, one man picked me up, and what he was. He said, I'm a police officer. Well, that's okay. And he asked me what I was doing. I said, I like to find out about the Japanese sculling, or the YOLO. And he didn't still understand, but we drew on, and then came, I think it was called Kensinunga. And so he said, well, here I'm stopping. I'm going to police station. You'd like to come with me? Well, I thought this is an opportunity. And when we got into a police station, it was a big place, you know, maybe 20, 30 people there, you know. They all raised up, you know, and stand attention, because I got a visitor that in that part of Japan, there was not many European people. So, but they didn't sit down, but they kept standing up. And then they asked me again, you know, what I wanted. And I had a picture of the oar, and I tried to explain them. Kind of hard thing to do, but I explained more and more. And I phoned friends, you know, but a long time, you know, maybe after 2 hours, you know, they said, now we understand what you want, and we can help you. Tomorrow, 2 policemen will drive you to a little village, and there you find this oar. Well, that was very good news. But now, tonight is going to come very heavy rain. But you can sleep here in the police station. But if there is a lot of noise here in the night, that's because it's a police station. And now they say we go to a sushi bar. So we walked out to the street, and we came. Everything was like dark, and we came to a little place. And now suddenly they spoke much more English. And we spoke then, and then we went into back to the police station, and I could sleep there. And in the morning they wake me up. And the police drove me up through winding road, you know, and to a little village. And there was an oyster farm. And there was a little place called Mona, and maybe 150 people lived there. And the policeman talked to the people, and they say, no problem, no problem. And they invited me there, and then they say, a young boy in the family, he was at the university, but now it was a Saturday. So he was coming home, and he could speak English. So after a while, this boy came, and I explained to him, and yes, these people, the man, Hatakayama, had written a book, The Mountain and the Sea are Sweethearts, it was called. And they were cutting down trees up in the mountains. And that meant that the sea didn't get nourishment and the oysters didn't grow well. So they had decided to plant trees, and they went up to the mountains and put up flags there and do these things, you know. So, and then they had started building traditional boats, you know, to go back to the tradition. And then the father came and they say, there is a traditional boat builder in the next village. We will go there. And he knows much more about this oar. So we went there, and this nice man, the boat builder, he showed me everything, you know. And then, so we went back, and now it was getting a bit late in the day. So they said, we're going up to the mountains tomorrow to plant trees. Would you like to come? Yes, sure, I said. So I could sleep there, and we had a meal together. And the next morning, they woke me up. And we drove all the way up to the mountain to plant trees. And then it was like a party, and I spoke, and then I said, now what do you like to do? Well, I like to stay in a little quiet place, you know, just had a little rucksack, and if I could have a place to put it. Okay, they say, you can stay here. We have a little place where you can sleep. And in the evening, you can come and eat with us. But in the daytime, we must work hard. So this is how I started with this. And every day I walked over to the traditional boat builder. I just started on a new boat. And I was thinking and looking at how it was. And in the daytime, sometimes I could borrow the boat, and after a while, they let me borrow this little boat. Japan boat, you know, like a small boat. And I was out there sculling with this boat, and I stayed a long time there and become good friends, and I learned a few Japanese words, and the boat builder showed me many interesting things. So I learned a lot of things there in Japan, and now I'm using this knowledge for this boat. So this is a little bit about me being in Japan, learning about the sculling oar, the YOLO. Wow. And the story will continue. Thank you.